Hey, you too. Welcome back to my channel. This is Nathan Daley. I am your law enforcement translator. Some say the counselor, some say the whisperer. Listen, I love all the titles. I think it applies. To all my subscribers, new subscribers, welcome to this channel. So happy to have you. Make yourself at home. If you're new and you find this channel of value, please join this journey. We are growing, you guys. I'm claiming it. We are going to hit 5,000 before the end of the year. That's my New Year's goal. I want to be 5,000 and beyond. You know, my goal is 10,000, but before the end of the year, 5,000. So listen, what are we talking about today? All right, I'm gonna get right into it. Now, as we know, the Ahmaud Arbery case has ended. We have a guilty verdict across the board. We can exhale a little bit, but the journey, the tasks, the things that need to be done still need to be done. What are those things? So in law enforcement, we have this thing that we do after major events. We don't get comfortable. We do an after action review. What is an after action review? It is an opportunity for us to go over the entire incident, go over everything, comb through it, find the areas where we made grave mistakes. Find the things that we did really great at. We reinforce those things. We identify the weaknesses and then we strengthen them. This is an after action review. This will more likely be a 4-part video. This video or this series for these videos will break down the things that we need to identify. Why? I'm very solution oriented, you guys. I like to solve problems. It's one of the things that I really capitalized a lot while I was in law enforcement. They gave me problems and I solved them. And I solved them very, very well. It's one of the things I would love to pat myself on the back about. I want you guys to be confident that I really know what I'm talking about. And so I do have to show you, I do have to explain these things. And so I want to say this, and it's very important. You guys, this is the area that I really excel in, which is problem solving, identifying the issue, breaking it down, and then finding a way to fix it. That's what I do. It's what I love doing. I love puzzles. It's what made me such a great investigator when investigating crimes. So, in this video, we're going to discuss the jury process. Why? Because it's fresh on our minds. We just got done with a very exhausting trials, the McMichael and William Rodney Bryant trial. People were so confused about the jury process. And even myself, I was thrown off. I'm not going to lie, you guys. Going into the court process is an area that I'm unfamiliar with. Remind you that my experience in the court system is me showing up and testifying on the stand as a witness for the state, a witness on my own investigations. I go in there and I testify and then I go home. Or I sit in the court and I have to listen to the trial. So the intricacies involved in court is also very unfamiliar. It's still new, though I have experience in it. So this is one of the biggest reasons why I enjoyed going onto the lead attorney's channel to really discuss, hey, can you explain to us about this jury process? How was this possible? A lot of people were looking at the optics of it. Oh my God, the jury makeup, 11 white, 1 black. And though we as people with good hearts don't want to ever look at a person's color and assume that they can't be impartial, the reality is we live in a country that's very, very sensitive when it comes to race relations. So everything does matter, and we have to be very transparent about that in order to help rebuild the trust. So the question is, how did the attorneys pull that off? How were they able to just remove pretty much all the black jurors? How? People are still confused. And I was so happy that I had a chance to speak with the lead attorney about it. You guys, if you're not familiar with him, we did a live stream together. Great content creator. He has a wealth of knowledge, and he really broke it down in a way that was comical. At the same time, so much truth, so much raw truth, you guys, and it really speaks volumes. So listen, he's going to explain it better than I can. Let's take a look and see what TLA says.
How is it in practice? What happens? Well, I'm on a trial. I'm defending you. The court will send out 100 summonses, jury summons. 100 people get it in the mail. You got to show up for jury selection. So they put you 100 people in a room. And from that, they'll take 10 or 12 or 20 and bring them upstairs. And we'll go deciding who's going to sit on the jury. Now, if it's a normal case, they might bring in 100 people, maybe 200. If it's a big case, they might bring in 300 people. 300 people show up in the courtroom on a Monday. Here's the thing: if I'm picking your jury, I can sit out like 3 people, 6 people, 12 people, depending on what the judge wants to do. Let's say I can just sit out 6 people just because I want to, but it can't be about race. So let's say I represent the defense, I represent Travis McMichael, and I see 6 black people up. They just call them number 1, number 2, number 3. 6 people up, and they're all black. I'm like, fuck, I need to get all these people off. I do not want any black people on my jury. So they give you the judge will give you 6 freebies. You say, okay, judge, I want to use my freebies for this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one. The judge is like, wait a minute. Oh, your 6 people are black. The judge was like, the state was like, come on, they're kicking out all the black people. Do you know what the judge said? The judge said this on the record. The judge says, and I quote, "This court has found that there appears to be intentional discrimination." The judge put that on the record. South Georgia, guys. South Georgia. When the judge in the case says they are illegally, you're not allowed to kick black people off because they're black.
He's very comical. He makes the situation very light for you to digest it. But the reality is, as he puts it, this is the truth. This is what happens. This is also what I've seen. It's also what he was seeing. And it's very interesting to get how he breaks it down for us to really understand it. Here's the reality.
But yeah, so they are not allowed to kick you off because of your race. But if they can find any little thing, then they're allowed to. And the judge was like, well, by law, I suppose that they have found their any little thing, but put on the record that there appears to be intentional discrimination regarding the selection of the jury. All the black people are like, word, oh, word. 16 people, 1 black person got on the jury. Intentional, word. South Georgia.
Attorneys have been doing this for as long as we can remember. They've done it on major cases involving African Americans. It's a problem. I like the way TLA really breaks down the jury process. He talks about the issues. He talks about the issues that's faced when you have black jurors on black cases.
How did they whittle that down? You want to choose people on your jury that are favorable to you. You also want to kick people off the jury that are favorable to the other side. It's a game within a game. For big cases, they hire specific people to sit in the courtroom, and these experts, all they do all day is write down notes. All they do is look at the jury members. We think number 112 is good for us. We think number 114 is bad for us. We think number 238 is great for us. We are not sure about number 348. These people are paid tens of thousands of dollars to look you in the eyes from 30 feet away and trying to analyze how you feel about a case. For these huge millions and millions of dollar cases, these corporations, these Exxons, they hire all these psychologists, all these ex-CIA, ex-FBI people. There's so much on the line, and the juries hold all of the power. They hold some of all of the power. And if you can pick a good jury, that's the name of the game.
I think TLA does a great job. He talks about how much flexibility attorneys have when picking jurors. He talks about the process, what's unique about it, and how crafty attorneys can be, and how this has such a huge impact on trials. Let's listen to what he has to say about it.
Now, if I represented the state and I had a black man come up and the defense attorneys, they said, "Oh, do you already know what happened?" The black man's gonna be like, "Hell yeah, I went to high school. I was born down here. I know exactly what happened." They're gonna be like, "Judge, kick him off." I'm gonna be like, "Wait, Judge, wait. All right. He says he already knew what happened. Fine. Let me try to rehabilitate him. I get the opportunity to rehabilitate him. I say, listen, brother, listen, okay. You already know what happened. But can you put your ideas of what you think happened, can you put them aside? And can you listen with an open mind to all of the evidence? And after listening to all of the evidence, can you make a fair and balanced and neutral and impartial decision about what happened? No, they murdered him. God damn it. Right? Lee, they murdered him. You're black. You know. I know. Shut up. Shut the fuck up. You're fucking it up. Right? Now what? We got a damn all-white jury. And one black person on the jury. One.
Daley is hilarious. He is hilarious, you guys. But he's absolutely correct. What is he saying? He's talking about how us as a people, right? Black people, we could be so passionate, right? Our passions are fueled through our emotions. What does that mean? When you have the responsibility of being a juror, you have to be able to show you can be impartial. But when you go in with the idea that you already know the truth without hearing the evidence, they cannot keep you on. They can't. So I understand that. And I read a lot of this when I was reading about why the jurors in the Ahmaud Arbery case, right? The trial with the McMichaels, why so many black jurors were taken off. They could not be impartial, according to those attorneys. I really like the way he explained that, because the reality is many of us will probably not have the opportunity to serve on a jury or a jury of that magnitude.
If I represent the state, who do I want on my jury? I want 12 black men. I want 12 black men. You get black men from South Georgia, like they already know the game. I already know what happened. You see what I said right there? That's part of the reason why there are no black men on the jury. What I just said right there, right? I already know what happened. A lot of black people got kicked off that damn jury because they said they could not be fair. A lot of black men, black women got kicked off their jury because they said, I already know what happened. And what they knew what happened actually happened. It's not that they're wrong. They were right. They knew what happened. But you can't say that. You can't say it.
One of the most important things I believe he touched on in our conversation was in reference to how stubborn a particular juror could be and how that could actually have such grave implications for a trial. What do I mean? He talks about how there are people sometimes who be so stubborn, no matter what facts and evidence that you present to them, that they are going to align themselves with who they want to align themselves with, regardless of what you're showing them. And in this case, there was a lot of selectiveness when it came to picking this jury. Why? Because they wanted a jury that was going to lean in the favor of their clients. Now, this is the part of this system that I do not like. Though I do agree things need to be impartial, but if you just put everybody on your side, doesn't that make them biased? If you specifically go for people who look, sound, think, act, believe like you do, then doesn't that defeat the purpose? I like the way he explained it. Let's take a look.
Ask you this. Why do you think they wanted so many Bubbas on the jury? Right? Why? So that you could have at least one person to sit back. They were just protecting our community. We've got too many of these African Americans. Right? Here's the thing, guys. The jury needs to be unanimous. It needs to be all guilty or all not guilty. One person can screw it up. One person. Now, what'll happen is it's very rare. It's rare that a jury just goes in and they take when they first go in, they say, okay, where are we feeling on this? There are 12 of us. 6 are guilty, 6 are not guilty. All right, fine. Let's start from there. It's not really too often where you go in and, all right, where are we with this? Everybody's guilty or everybody's not guilty. You kind of need to review the evidence and you need to kind of figure out what's going on and maybe convince some people. But what happens when you can't convince somebody? When the jury is so-called deadlocked, right? It could be the case that all of the jury, they're supposed to find these men guilty. It could be that all of them nullify it. They say, know what? Listen, we're almost all white. We got this one over here, and we're going to convince him. We know where you live. we know where you live, right? Everybody vote not guilty. Let's just go home. We all can go back to our families. This African American is dead. We can't bring him back. This is a tragedy. Luckily, I saw Pastor Jesse Jackson in the back so Jesse can pray for the family. All right? And then they come back not guilty. What is that? Nullification. Can it happen? Absolutely. All right? What also can happen? Also, it can be where you have one person, just one, everybody's like, listen, we all know the evidence. We all know the law. He's guilty. He's guilty. He's guilty. They let one Bubba on. All you need is one. They let one Bubba on and Bubba says, nope, nope. I'm not going to find these men guilty. They were protecting our streets from the African Americans and not varmints. And I'm not going to do it. And they're like, listen, we reviewed all the testimony. I'm not going to do it. We reviewed all the evidence, all the witness statements. Not going to do it. 2 days, the judge brings them in. The judge is like, hey, listen, where are we, guys? And the foreman's going to be like, listen, there's one person that doesn't want to do it. What's the holdup? What's the breakdown? There's one person that doesn't agree. And the judge is going to give them what's called a dynamite charge. And a dynamite charge is when the judge gets in the jury's ass. Technically, it's called an Allen charge, but it's also called a dynamite charge. And the judge gets in the judge is supposed to get in the jury's ass and say, listen, y'all stop fucking around. Whoever's holding out, who's ever slowing this thing down, go back and reconsider.
Right.
Open your ears, open your eyes, talk to your people, deliberate. Whoever's holding out, go back there and reconsider. And then they go back. And they're like, listen, did you hear what the judge said? I don't care what the judge said. We have white women. We have people in our community that need protection. There was a man in a construction site without authorization or permit.
Stubborn. Why
was he in the house? So if it comes out after the dynamite charge that the person will not move, what happens? The judge is going to be like, listen, we've deliberated for 5 days. What's the deal? No, there's one person that doesn't want to agree. The defense is going to jump up. They're going to say, Judge, this is a hung jury. It's called a hung jury. And we want a mistrial. And the judge is going to look to the state, the prosecutor, and the state's going to say, I declare a mistrial. That's what the judge is going to do. And it's going to be a mistrial.
And start all over.
Right? Now, what happens after a mistrial? The prosecutors have to go back and they're going to be like, damn, we had him. We had a Bubba on. Now, the prosecution, this case has gone 2 weeks. It's easily cost the state hundreds of thousands of dollars. They're going to have to ask themselves, are we going to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars more of our taxpayers' money to try to do this again, knowing that when they pick another jury, a Bubba might slip in, right? A Bubba might slip in. They might say, well, listen, we want these men, but we already know they are indicted federally. Maybe we'll save our money and let the feds get them. Or they might say, listen, we were so close. And we know our stuff is on point. Let's run it again, run it back. And they will. The state will run it back. Usually they'll run it back one time. Like after the second time, they're usually done with it. But they have the right to run it back.
Listen, this guy is a comedian. I promise you. He's hilarious. Listen, he's absolutely correct. This is something that needs to be discussed. When we take jurors like this and we really put together a specific group just to favor one side, it leaves the other side unfavored. This is the dangers of it, especially if the defendant is African American and then you have a jury pool of all white people. How is that fair? But this happens more than you guys think. These racial disparities that take place is a problem. We can't heal, we can't fix, we can't grow if we don't talk about these things. How do we fix them? Jury of our peers, what does that really mean? What does it really mean if there's no racial balance? Even if we were to look at it from a stance of 13% and 60% and making sure the jurors reflect that, that's my solution. Or make the jurors reflect the racial demographics of the community where the crime occurred. That makes more sense. Would love to see them put that into law. Would love to see them talk about that. That's fair, you guys. That's equitable. You can't argue that. For Ahmaud Arbery, why couldn't it have been 6 and 6 or 8 and 4? See, those things are reasonable. Those things people can accept. Those things people can agree with. But even in this case, what else did they want to do? Right? They were so focused on making things the circumstances so favorable for their clients, all the way down to their economic status.
Not only did the defense kick off all black people, just one left, they were complaining. Do you know what they were complaining about? They were like, Judge, listen, we don't see a lot of people who kind of are in the same socioeconomic status as our clients. Swear to God, this is what the attorney said. These people, we're just going to call them Bubbas. And to be honest, Judge, now that I look around the room, I don't see enough Bubbas on the jury. Can you, goddamn! How can you say that? With a straight face, you don't see enough Bubbas on the jury. It is real down here. So it's not enough that the judge has found that the defense appears to have committed intentional discrimination. They're like, no. Y'all are discriminating against us. We don't see enough Bubbas. We need the jury full of Bubbas. Why? Because a Bubba will understand a Bubba. A Bubba will understand we were just protecting our community against these fucking nigger. Oh, that's what they said over his body. That's what they said over his body as he bled out in the street. A Bubba will understand a Bubba.
TLA is right. Can you imagine? You nitpick the jury all the way down to how much they make, their status. Say, hey, this is not fair. There's two different class of white people we're talking about. I need this class versus this class because this class of white America is not going to understand the plight of this class of white American. Ooh, it gets deep, you guys. And this is why I love the insight that TLA provides because, you guys, we don't know this. I didn't know this. But what does that really say? When we talk about after action review, it's where can we fix the problem? Where did we slip? Where are the areas of concern? What needs to be repaired? What needs to be looked at? What needs to be scrutinized? What needs to be examined? The jurors. What's missing? TLA has a great unique, he has a great unique experience. He's a black attorney. But what did I say about the attorneys? Only 5%. 5% of our attorneys in this country are African American. That is the core. That's the core. That's what needs to be addressed. We need more. We need more. We're lacking in these areas we're deficient in. Who was teaching? Who's explaining these things? So when we look at this, we say, you have the defense attorneys who are basically filtering out. They want to get rid of as many black people as possible. But then they also want to get rid of certain types of white people because they know that one group thinks different than the other. Man, you guys, that is powerful. It lets you know that there is a game. There's a game being played. But see, I don't like that game. You know why? Because we're talking about people's freedom. And we're talking about people's life. And the games that some of these attorneys play, it's unacceptable. It's unacceptable. And I'm talking about the bad ones. TLA, he's a good one. He doesn't play those games. I'm talking about the bad ones, you guys. The reality is you need to understand the laws that are over you. You need to understand the laws that dictate how we move, what our freedom looks like. We need to look at these laws. I'm asking you, do you think that's fair? Do you think that's equitable? Is there room for abuse? And if you say yes, then they need to be fixed, you guys. If there's room for it to be abused, they need to be fixed. What did the judge say? The judge says, hey, listen, on record, I am noting that this looks like intentional discrimination, and he still couldn't do anything. Does that need to be fixed? You tell me. Does that need to be fixed? We have to fix what we can fix in the criminal justice system. And us willingly knowing that certain things are ineffective. It's not right. But if you want to fix the problem, you have to be in the problem. Does that make sense? You can't complain about the game and you're sitting on the bench. See, this is the deeper conversation that we have to have. Especially in my community, we have to play the game. We got to play the game. Just like my friend told me, genius. He said people complain about the game, so they opt out to play, but don't realize that the game continues on. And whether you like it or not, the game will have an impact on you, whether you play or not. And with that, I'm out. Have a good night. God bless.